Hello, beautiful humans. I'm Jem Madrone, and I want to talk about phase 3 today. Yesterday or the day before, we did phase 1 and 2 in a video, and so you can go back and check that out. Phase 1 was the wake up call, and phase 2 was the rabbit hole, piercing the illusion. And so today we're going to talk about phase 3, which is the phase of separation and isolation. And this is something that seems to happen for almost everyone in some form. And it comes after a period of time where we've been processing the initial event that may have caused the awakening process or kind of set it off or really caused things to shift. And so we talked about the shift in consciousness that happens during the wake-up call. But what I didn't mention, and what's important to talk about here, is that with that shift of consciousness also comes a energetic shift. It's not just a mental shift or a consciousness shift. It's a completely physical, energetic shift that happens as well. And it's usually a change in our inner vibration. It can also, it does seem to come in or open us up really to receiving higher levels of energy and higher level frequencies. And so it's not just a shift that happens on one level, say emotional or mental. It's a complete physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual shift that's happening. And because of that, there's so much to integrate. There's so much to be with. There's so much to sort through. And so after we've had that initial wake-up call, and after we've started to really question everything in our life, and because we're now seeing through the illusion of this 3D reality, then there often comes a time where we separate ourselves. We begin to separate ourselves from our old lives. We begin to realize that we need to make changes, or it just happens very normally, my words are not coming very good today, automatically. So it may look like it's your choice. It may look like you're choosing to step away from family and friends, step away from things that were comfortable for you, maybe even leave an old job, leave a relationship. Divorce is really common at this point in the process because we realize that our old relationships, our old life is not serving us anymore and is not in alignment with where we are going and what we've now discovered about ourselves. And so friends tend to fall away, relationships tend to fall away, and it can be our own choice, and it can also be something that happens regardless of what we want. Often it is events that line up because what we need at this time period is to be alone, is to go inside, is to have time to ourselves so that we can reconnect with ourselves. And so I often say it's like we have to disconnect from the world around us in order to reconnect with who we really are. And so that's what is happening during this phase. We're disconnecting in order to reconnect. And it can be really challenging. And probably the biggest symptom during this time period is loneliness. We feel like we may always be alone. We feel so different from everyone around us. We may be grieving old relationships, loss of loved ones, loss of friends, loss of the old life. And that grieving is really important too. It's an important part of this process, and it comes in with the loneliness. Often the loneliness will bring up that grief so that we can process it, so that we can heal it. But it's important for us not to jump right back into a different life, not to try to build a new life right away and make ourselves busy and find new friends that we feel are in alignment. That will come, and it will come naturally. But we need to take this time to ourselves. We need to take the time where we have the ability to listen to what we're feeling, maybe for the first time in our lives ever. And so that's why it is so important for us to take this as a gift and to use it to the best of our abilities, to really listen to what our soul is needing at this time, to listen to what we are being shown, and to start the healing process of all of the things that have been ignored up until this point, that have been pushed away. And it's a really challenging time, and it can be a really sad and lonely time, but it is also really part of the process where we're moving from being a codependent individual into being a sovereign individual. And if we don't take this time, then we're going to just move right back into those codependent tendencies with all our relationships. And so this really is an essential time, and it can last for many years for some people, and sometimes you move through it a little bit faster. But I don't think we ever go back to the way we used to be in relationship with other people. I think once we've had this period of separation and isolation, we see the beauty in it, we see the value in it, and we know the strength of our own power and the strength of our aloneness. Because being alone doesn't always have to mean being lonely. And so I just really encourage you, if you're in this place of separation and isolation right now, that this is what you're experiencing. If you're feeling really lonely and maybe even depressed, maybe there's a lot coming up for you in that loneliness. It may be triggering a lot of old traumas around betrayal, around abandonment. And oftentimes this is being triggered because it's time for you to heal it. Pretty much always, if it's being triggered, it's because it's time for you to heal it. And so even though we're taking this time for ourselves to do this inner work, sometimes it is necessary to reach out for help. It is necessary to lean on that friend who understands what you're going through, and to really connect with people who do understand where you're at and what you need at this point in your life. So it doesn't mean that we can't ask for help when we need it. It just means that we need to really care for ourselves in a whole new way. And so if you're struggling with this or any part of the awakening process and you feel like you need more help and more support through it, then please reach out, send me a private message, and we can talk and see if the work that I do with my clients would be a good fit for you. So I'm sending you guys so much love. Thank you to each of you for doing the work that you're doing. It's really, really important. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you in the Facebook group. Okay, love to you all. Bye.